Hi guys, I'm Jess and it's about time to do my February wrap up. However, I didn't read or really finish any books in February. It is the shortest month of the year, but that doesn't excuse me of anything. I should have read at least 3 books during February. However, I've been trying to read The Fandom by Anna Day since like December, and I just couldn't chew through like the first 200-300 pages very quickly. I'm finishing it up a bit more quickly now. I'm kind of getting into my rhythm and getting back a bit. But I've been in such a huge reading slump since starting my new job, essentially. I'm an auditor, which means I'm constantly looking at spreadsheets all day and reading, and my eyes are on screens, so my eyes are tired at the end of the day. And I just, with exams still going on and college I still have to go to as part of the apprenticeship, it's very, very tiring, and I just don't necessarily want to read when I get home. And I haven't found stories that have really captured me, other than rereading Pierce Brown's Iron Gold. That got me a few extra books in January, but those were rereads. I've not found any new books that have really captured me for the past couple of months. So I'm going to talk a little bit about reading slumps today and how awful they are and how I find getting myself out of them. Now, reading slumps are a really difficult thing, because I know at the end of December I made a really big deal about setting myself a really kind of high number of books I read. I don't read quickly, but I managed to read 82 books last year, and I read the majority of those books in the time that I was supposed to be revising for my A-level exams, which is really bad, but I didn't do badly in my A-levels, so it's fine. But after that I just went into a reading slump, and even around Yauk, I just didn't read really at all. And since joining my job, it's just been tired, and then not reading means that I don't have so much going on, like so much creativity going through my head. I don't have the inspiration to write as much. I'm just kind of slugging along with life a little bit, I feel, at the moment. And I tend to get myself out of reading slumps by rereading books I know I enjoy. And I reread the Red Rising series as Iron Gold was coming out, and then finished Iron Gold and was like, oh my god, what do I do with my life now? Because it was a great book, and it's just like, okay, Dark Age needs to come out like right instantly, like now. But that's not going to happen. So another book series that I find myself constantly reading is the ACOTAR series. And actually I will read the ACOTAR series, like I'll read certain chapters on my phone. Like I've got the first 2 books on Kindle, so I'll just like read them randomly and read bits of it. Skip to what I find are the good bits, which are the respits, even in ACOTAR, which means skipping the first 200-300 pages. But it's generally finding the love of reading allow it to come back to you in books that you know you really enjoy. So ACOTAR I find is really easy to read. Sarah J Maas's writing is always easy, and I tend to go for ACOTAR as opposed to Throne of Glass because it's a shorter series. I'll get through it quickly. I also have a huge amount of love for Rhys's character. I like how it changes from the first book, and there's a little bit of smut in there. There's battles, and there's high stakes, and interesting characters, and an interesting world, and therefore I can really get my head down and read it. I should be reading Game of Thrones series again, because that again is easy to read, but because it's so similar to the TV series and I've read it, I feel like I don't need to read it, but I've been trying to get myself back into it at some point soon. But that's generally how I get out of my reading slumps. I reread something I know I love, and there are lots of books I need to get into rereading this year. I need to reread the Harry Potter series very soon, because I haven't read them in probably 3 or 4 years. And do you know what? I at some point need to reread the Twilight series, just to see how my outlook on it has changed, how my perception of it has kind of developed. I have a feeling that I enjoyed The Host much more when I was younger, and I feel like it will be even more of a separation. I'll enjoy The Host far more. I'm still annoyed that Stephanie Meyer hasn't continued with the Host series, but I think actually how it's been left is probably a good stage, and it won't like be allowed to get progressively worse as Twilight did. I need to reread the Shadowhunter series, because I actually haven't read the Clockwork series, and of course that comes before, and I need to continue with the the Dark Artifices series, so if I read them in kind of order of the not the order it was published, but the order that the books come in, so the Clockwork, Infernal Devices, that's what it's called, the Infernal Devices series, and then the Mortal Instruments, and then the Dark Artifices, and I'll be kind of in order and it will move smoothly. I don't love the Shadowhunter Chronicles as much as lots and lots of people do, but I do appreciate that it's a well-twisting series. I really like Jonathan, and I prefer to call him Jonathan as opposed to Sebastian, just because Sebastian, I think of The Little Mermaid and a Jamaican crab, so I always think of him as Jonathan, but I need to reread that series quite badly. I think I need to reread the Gone series by Michael Grant soon, because he had a new book called Monster out, which was a continuation, and I need to read it just to see what it's about. I think I would like to read the Alex Rider series again. That was a great series for when I was about 11 and we had to read it at school, and I haven't read Russian Roulette yet, which is like the next book by the top assassin. I can't even remember what his name is now, but those were really good books, and I actually would quite like to get into reading James Bond and Jack Reacher books, and I think that's a good way of doing it. Just read the kids' versions of spy books and then go into the adults, the fully fledged Ian Fleming and all of that kind of thing, and get interested. And you could see, just talking about books I would like to reread to allow me to read new books, I'm getting much happier and I'm getting really enthusiastic about the books I want to read. And if I instead talk about books that I've got on my shelves but I've got no interest in reading, I know lots of people throw those books away, but I just can't do that. If I have bought it, I need to read it. I'm not wasting money like that. I also have been putting myself up for a couple of events, so I am going to two events at the end of this month, and that is the event with Neil Schusterman, V.E. Schwab and Samantha Shannon in North London, which looks fantastic. I've been looking for a reason to get the Scythe series, and I've ordered the hardbacks off the Book Depository last Sunday and they haven't even shipped yet. Apparently they're having trouble getting the stock in, but I want the hardbacks as opposed to the paperback. I don't think Thunderhead paperback has even been published in the UK yet. Scythe has only just really made its way onto the Waterstones tables. For some reason it really hadn't come out. But I want those hardbacks quite badly because I prefer hardbacks, they're just sturdier, and I'm a bit worried that they're not going to get here. If they're not shipped in the next 2 or 3 days, I think I'm going to order them from somewhere else as well and just see whichever gets shipped first and then cancel the other order, and that'll be how I do it. I just want them to get here quickly and I want to read it. I haven't read any of the Adsum series or Vicious or the Savage Song by V.E. Schwab, but I have got them all signed, so I don't feel like I need to go see her. However, I think she does have a bit of a section in 13 Dark Tales, Because You Love to Hate Me, which I'll go and get signed by her. I've got that signed by Samantha Shannon already, so I'll get the little bits signed as people come over, which will be really good. Samantha Shannon, I have not read The Song Rising yet, but I have got the Bone Season and the Mime Order under my wing. I have forgot, it was a long time between reading each of these books, so I think I need to reread the Bone Season. I've got the Mime Order on audiobook as well, so I might listen to that one and then get myself into The Song Rising. But I have got at least 2 copies of all Samantha Shannon books. I don't need any more, so I probably don't have to visit her on the signing table, so I don't have to worry and rush myself into reading it. And then of course in July I have got Youp coming up, so there have been, so far as I know, there have been no authors really announced yet, so you can kind of guess who's going to go, you know, the typical YA authors, but most of those authors I got signed for last year, so I'm just waiting to see who is new coming up and what books I can read and get signed and stuff. And going to get signed books is always my thing, so reading those in order to go and get signed and have something to talk about is something that gets in my head, but I never quite finish them in time, which always annoys me. That's my main and then kind of secondary way of getting myself out of a reading slump. I'm going to try really hard, perhaps after next Saturday the 10th, I have to retake an exam in the afternoon, so after that day I'll make a real effort in getting myself back into reading, because of course I do need to pass this exam, otherwise I could get some kind of extensive steps in my apprenticeship being, enforced upon me. So I need to get it done quickly and I need to focus on my exam for now. But until then, let me know. I'm going to be searching and researching other ways of getting reading slumps kind of out. How to prevent reading slumps would be a good idea. Let me know what your guys' methods are for getting yourself out of these kind of situations. It's really interesting to hear everybody's different methods, what other books you use and reread to get yourself out of them. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.